and welcome back, you wonderful people. We are here for the penultimate week of the BFBS Pro League F125 season, and I have two of the most wonderful commentators either side of me here to break down the action. First of all, Poundlander, welcome back to the stage. How's it been since we last saw you?
A lot of physio by the sounds of it, because it's been football and bike riding for the past week. So getting the fitness in, but I've missed this. I've missed it.
Oh, we've missed you too. And Deromus, you were here with me last week. How's your week been? How are you feeling coming into this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite a long week, to be honest. Almost forgot the majority of Australia. That's how busy I've been. But yeah, it's great to be back on track here in the commentary booth. And I'm looking forward to it, especially after the chaos of last week.
Yeah, last week was absolutely chaos, but we'll break that down in a little bit. Now, let's take a little bit of a look at the format. Let's set the tempo here. Maybe you're new around here. Maybe you haven't watched the previous weeks. You know what, Poundlander, do you want to talk us through what the format looks like?
Let's have a look at the format then. We start with qualifying coming up in a few minutes' time. It's an 18-minute session, only one session in this, so they get limited runs in this session to set their fastest lap, but they've got to be careful with the tyres. If they want to save tyres during this, they need to make sure they use them wisely. Don't worry about the simultaneous grids. The qualifying position that you see in qualifying will be the qualifying positions they start in the race. And that's what we go on to. The 50%, so we've got 27 laps around our track this evening with 2 compounds needing to be used in dry conditions. If it starts raining, that rule does go out of the window. And then we go on to the crucial thing, which this week is a very big thing. It's the points. So in qualifying, the top 3 will get points. 3 points for first, 2 points for second, and 1 point for third. Everybody else, it's all in for the race, where the top 10 will get points and a point for the fastest lap, provided you finish in the top 10. First place getting 25, second place getting 18, and I think it's 10 points the third, and then going crescendoing down the grid to the final point for 10th. And we have got the drop 1 rule, so if any of the drivers don't have a great race, they can drop that worst points at the end of the season, which is only next week. We're in the penultimate round this evening, so it's all to play for. But that drop 1 rule could come in handy for a few drivers.
I absolutely could. Masterfully explained here as well. Beautifully done. Now, we are getting towards the end, and that's really where we raise a couple of questions about, the championship as a whole, right? Because there's one name kind of on the tip of our tongues who has been dominating so far. But whether they've confirmed themselves the championship, well, there is still room for that to change. However, let's take a little bit of a look about maybe what you missed last week if you weren't here, if you haven't watched the VOD yet. Deromus, we were watching it, and, well, it was a little bit crazy at times. Do you want to break us down maybe some of the important things that you remember from last week?
Yes, absolutely. Then, and the main factor for me was the wet qualifying. I say the main factor, there were several factors that happened in this Grand Prix, but wet qualifying really shook up the order, especially in the midfield pack. It was a debate on whether or not which strategy you go for. Do you go for a high downforce setup or a low downforce setup for the race? And this is a couple of highlights in this qualifying session. Then obviously Proven took it, well, Proven had a very strong lap time to start things off, but it was drying as time went on, as Stevie Mac was struggling to get around that penultimate corner. But here's the race start. Phoenix did manage to get pole position, and unfortunately for the asset, getting picked up in turn 1 there by Stevie Mac. It was a bit of chaos in that opener, but it happens sometimes. It's quite a short run down, and there was contact throughout the entirety of this Grand Prix. Stevie versus BR8 in the midfield pack was definitely a battle to watch, but this one right here on your screen, Stepney Luke and Proven went throughout the entire Grand Prix. They both pit at the exact same time, and that battle ended up being a major battle for second place. All that fighting going on, especially with Runes going for a 2-stop strategy. It was a risky payout, and unfortunately missing out right at the end. Was only a second off second and third place, but they made it happen. But yeah, plenty of contact throughout the entirety of this Grand Prix, but it was just enough rubbing his racing for it to be justified. There was contact throughout. Everyone kind of got on with it, and there were some brilliant moves to be had. This 3 wide didn't end up being too good for either drive after that dive bomb occurred, and, well, sometimes it happens. They went straight to the steward's room after that one, but there was so much carnage on the track here.
It was. I think we started a new award last week, a sort of informal, but I think we'll carry it on to this week. Is Chaos Agent of the Week, and it sort of undisputed went to Stevie Mac last week, and we'll see if that sort of continues. Poundland. I mean, you got to watch the highlights there. I know you caught a little bit of the end. I mean, coming into this week, are we expecting a similar sort of thing? Is Suzuka a track that kind of leans into that? Or are we hoping maybe we get a little bit of a break from some of the chaos we've had from back to back to back mayhem tracks?
Well, with Suzuka, it's notoriously hard to overtake, as we've seen in real life Formula One and in other leagues. You know, if you watch the RAF League, the Armies League, or even the inter-services, Suzuka's always one which is very, very challenging. The only kind of real overtaking points is into the Casino Triangle, which is the final chicane, or down into turn one, the long sweeping right-hander. The rest of the track, it is very, very difficult. So we could still see some chaos, especially going into the S's. We have seen crashes there before. Notably, I think it was 2024, Liam Lawson hitting the wall because he made contact with Carlos Sainz on the first lap of the Japanese Grand Prix a couple of years ago. So we can see action into there. We can see spins. We can see drama. It's going to be very, very interesting this week. And all the drivers now, with the last 2 races to go, they're pushing for those all important points to push themselves up the leaderboard.
Now, talking of the leaderboard, talking of these important players, this week we're actually missing a lot of the heavy hitting names. If you're a regular around here, if you've been watching the league a little bit more frequently, there's going to be some names missing. Most notably, Phoenix is going to be absent as far as we know. And that's going to be a little bit crazy because he's kind of been the undisputed top. Now, there have been a couple of races where on penalties, just at the very end, he's lost it. But this time, that battle for staying in first place is a little bit more open here, wouldn't you say?
Well, just want to point you in the right direction here. We've had news right at the last second that Phoenix is arriving on the grid.
Is he?
So their championship contention is well and truly down to this race. It's going to be a kick in the teeth for Proven, who was looking to try and get a race win here, trying to get as many points as possible. But if Phoenix could finish with at least 5 points, that's first place in qualifying and 9th place in the Grand Prix, they will take the championship here in Japan. But there's more than that going on. There's battles all around. This battle for 3rd place, even 2nd place, is still possible. Now down to 6th and 8th, there's about 10 points within them, but there's 14 drivers on the grid today. Wrapping up will be Ed Charles Log, The Acid, and Matsuvo. Matsuvo, a very fast driver, a well-respected driver by the looks of it on his stats. And, well, just want to drop this little one here as well. Congratulations on your child that's on the way. Hopefully, you get a good result to go along with it.
Oh yeah, that would be sort of the cherry on top. We've got a little bit more news as well. So we know the firstborn's on the way. They're also somebody that loves a little bit of strategy over racing, actually. So the racing's secondary, and I'm excited to see if we see that really sort of come out in stylistically on the track. And they've got a lot of backing behind them, raced in the British Army esports, and they've been around the block a little bit. So new into the league and very late. So the chances of getting into the top 10 still possible with 2 races left, but very much coming in trying to play catch up here. Now we're starting to get ready here. Going ahead, we talked already a little bit about Suzuka. The Poundland spoke a little bit about it. Duromus, do you like this track? What are your sort of like highlights, areas to watch?
As a controller player, I absolutely hate this track. It's not as flowy on controller. On steering wheel, it very much is a nice track to drive. I've done both. Powerland, you seem to have different opinions here, but I just want to say Sector 1's a nightmare for me.
I'm waiting to see in the chat now, just 6 sevens. But yeah, for me, there we go. That's how tonight's gonna go. So Suzuka for me, I love it, but I hate it. I love it as a spectator. I love watching it. However, I hate driving it. I really do not get on with it. I find I've been using the 26 cars recently, because obviously it's now in the game. We can now try it. Probably when we come into another season of the Pro League, we are going to use the 26 cars. The 26 cars really do not like it. It's very, very, it feels like the back end is very much trying to kick out for me. But that might just be my setup. Where the 25 cars, it is a lot smoother. It feels like the car's on rails and it just wants to stick it into a corner and stay there. It absolutely does. I can see Bombers there saying, bin him now, see how it is. But, you know, I do absolutely love Suzuka as a commentator and as a spectator. So I'm really looking forward for this evening.
I mean, if we're already up here, and, you know, the three of us, we're apparently, you know, the voices of reason on the desk here. If we're already saying, it's a little bit of an awkward one, I can't even wait to see what we're going to actually witness when we get into the game. Because if we're up here already, like, control, and we know we have controller players amidst our lineup here, if this is going to be something we see. Now, predictions ahead of time. We ask this, you know, every week. How many safety cars are we going to see? I want a prediction. We'll have a winner at the end. Poundland, do you want to go first?
My prediction is there will be chaos, but I think Phoenix will rise above it and will take the championship tonight.
Ooh,
I feel like I feel like he's got it in his back pocket already. I really do think he's going to do it tonight, but if Proven wants to really, you know, add some spice to it, maybe he might pull something out and maybe he's got the better setup. But I think Phoenix is going to take it tonight. I can see behind the scenes Ben in the studio saying 0 safety cars.
0 safety cars. Do we agree?
No, I absolutely don't agree. I don't agree.
Go on.
It's
Give me a number,
it's too
How
awkward.
many?
It's too awkward of a circuit. I went for 1 in Australia. I got that right with a virtual safety car. I'm going to go for 2 here, just based on the sheer awkwardness of the track. I mean, there's plenty of space you can run off of, but that doesn't mean there won't be plenty of carbon fiber around on the track.
Poundlander, higher or lower?
I think we'll see 1 safety car. Just one.
Okay, you know what? I'll go 3, so we've got like an order here, so that we're kind of going up a little bit. We're just getting the last player invited, so we should be heading in very shortly. But we've talked about it. This is kind of the precipice, and there will be another week of racing. But if Phoenix wins here, even with the drop 1 rule, it is almost entirely confirmed that he is going to be the undisputed top. And to be honest with you, I think given how he's raced over the past 7 weeks, so 6 weeks going into 7, you got to hand it to him as well. But that battle for second third is going to be the really interesting one here as well. We've been seeing these little bit of battles in the sort of mid-ground a lot here. And that's been kind of like a highlight, a little bit of a staple going on. But any last words for the players? Any players you want to highlight? Maybe underdogs from lower down in the sort of rankings from what you usually see. I mean, I always give a shout out. Hot Devil Dog kind of won my heart over when we were going into, I think it was Monaco, and said it was chaos. Is there anyone you want to highlight that doesn't really get the limelight as much?
Oh, this is difficult. I probably...
I'm going to cut you. I thought, honestly, it's not too far down the pecking order, but I want to see Runes get a win. I want to see Runes on that top spot, and I've been rooting for that throughout the entirety. He's been Mr. Consistent, and unfortunately for this format, he's going to get punished the hardest for it, because he's been, fourth, third, fourth, right? That is the most consistent driver we've seen, apart from Phoenix, who's had, obviously, the firsts, except for the times he hasn't been here. I really want to see Runes stand on top of that podium.
As much as he gives me a lot of stick in the chat, because he tries to get a reaction out of me every single week, I'd like to see
I've completely forgot. Pardon, I'm so sorry. I've completely forgot he's not here tonight. No.
Oh, this is devastating. Demomus is going to have to issue a formal apology now.
Formal apology now. I would love to see Bomber Brown really. He has been practicing so hard, and I'll give him the credit. He gives me stick in the chat. He talks about my chicken legs. He tries to get a reaction out of me, but I'm going to root for him tonight. I want Bomber Brown up there tonight. At least fight him for that podium because he worked so hard on this game. I feel like tonight could be his night.
Tonight could be his night. We'll be cheering him on as well. And you know what? The other name, I don't know, bacon and pancakes. I miss them already. It's been a couple of weeks. Stole the show with the name in week 1. But I reckon that we are ready to let you guys take the reins here. Walk us through our penultimate week. Jeromus, Poundlander, take it away.
So here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, the Suzuka International Racing Course in Japan. 5.8 miles, 18 turns, just the one DRS zone this evening down the main straight. And it is probably the most iconic track on the calendar. The only figure of 8 that we'll see on the calendar, as you see it, just under 130R, the track will cross under. It has been a staple of the Formula One Championships since the 1980s. We've seen Damon Hill win his first championship here. We have seen drama with Prost and Senna into the Casino Triangle, and then seen drama again with Prost and Senna down into Turn 1 many years ago. And of course, Max Verstappen taking his, I think it was his 4th World Championship here in Suzuka with an absolutely unbeatable season. Jeromus, this is a track of legends, don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And you were calling all these. I remember watching highlights and stuff like reruns of the Grand Prix back in when lockdown was on, right? And they started showing old runs of races, and Japan has always been a staple in the season highlights, and for good reason. Sector 1, a very fast technical section. You've got to get it right just to get a solid time in qualifying. Sector 2 a little bit slower, as you've got that hairpin of turn 9, I think it is there. And then sector 3, very high speed. You can get a good run in down to that chicane, and I feel like that's where we'll see a lot of risky overtakes. But here we are then, Boundlander, qualifying.
It's time to throw out the script. It's time to tear up the notebook, because it's time for an absolute blockbuster here in Suzuka. It's time for qualifying. As we said, if you missed the top of the show, welcome along to the penultimate round of the BFBS Pro League featuring F125. It's our penultimate round here in Suzuka as drivers now take to the track. It's 18 minutes around this iconic circuit. Drivers, unlimited runs, but want to be wary on their tyres. Tyre degradation is very high around here, so really need to take care of it. The soft tyres is mainly going to be the tyre of choice for qualifying. We look at Bomber Brown then leaving pit lane as they start to leave and start to warm up those tyres. And you can just see the iconic section here, the S's, where we have seen iconic overtakes and brilliant moves into these corners. But again, it's still very tricky to overtake around here, especially in wet conditions. That is what we're hoping not to see this evening. Let's keep it nice and dry, but we'd like some changeable conditions, wouldn't we?
We would absolutely love a bit of temperamental clouds, a bit of rain here and there, but is that a medium tire on these cars that I'm seeing?
It looks like to be. We're looking at the newcomer, Masiva, can't even say the name. Medium size, probably just Mativo, there we go. Just to I think it might be mediums, just to get a banker lap in and scrub up the tyre a little bit, because the medium does run a little bit better when it's scrubbed in a little bit. So when it comes to the race, it doesn't take as long to kind of warm up and get grippy. I think that's maybe what he's trying to do there.
I mean, fair enough. You do you. I mean, use this time to practice as well. I know some people don't get many laps in, so I can see this working out for Matsuvo as well. But yeah, the soft tire absolutely shreds on the rear left, I'm pretty sure, around here. It is a clockwise circuit, as many of them are on this calendar. But yeah, I'm expecting some good lap times, and a 1:31.6 is the time to beat after the Cosford Air Show ran a few lap times around here on the weekend, sorry. So you can get that lap time under a 1:31.6. You don't get anything for it, but nice congratulations from us.
Well, yeah, that's it. It could even be the pole time, where 3 points could be on offer if that pole time is beaten. But we see now drivers starting their flying laps. Masivo is already on that flying lap using the medium tyre. Going through the S's, it's left, then right, then left again, then a nice long right to go into a nice long left as they go up the hills. We go on board then. Around that left-hand corner, kind of want to keep nice and tight, then out wide, then get tight again as you come into these very quick right-hand corners, breaking down into around 5th gear, coming under the bridge and up into the very slow hairpin. It's normally around 2nd or 1st gear coming around this hairpin, keeping it nice and tight. We could see some overtakes here coming into the racing, and then it's the run into Spoon. Flat out around this corner, you want to make sure you're getting as much speed and keeping on the line as much as possible. Spoon, drop a gear for the first, and then you're dropping down to 4th. Going in second parts, we see, Masivo going wide. Going to lose some time there. However, has not cut track limits, and that lap is still validated. On the run then, up into 130R, probably the fastest section of the track. You are taking this corner full throttle at around nearly 200 mile an hour. Bomber goes fast. It's a 129.2. So that 136 has already been beaten, Romas, into the Casino Triangle and around the final corner. DRS activated around on that line now. Crosses the line. Mativo 129.05, provisional pole on the medium tyre so far.
Yeah, very solid start on that medium tyre. Got a bit tucked up there by a driver parked on the apex just before Spoon. I'm not entirely sure who that was, but I'm sure Matsuba will be a bit annoyed with that. But KS Pryor with a 128.2, that is 0.8 quicker so far. Stephanie Luke, obviously the driver that was battling for second place last time around, will look to get and do one better, try and put themselves on the top spot here, as every driver barring Adam Thompson and Edward Fleming are out on a flying lap time then, and times are starting to roll in. Stevie Mack in third, the Asset in 4th as well. The Bomber being pushed down further and further, but Stephanie Luke coming to that hairpin. There's a couple of cars parked there kindly off the apex. Bit questionable decision to put it there. You could have gone up and around the hairpin, but hey, it does the job. But Proven coming across the line with a 127.9 now, right on the edge of the 28 lap times. And Stephanie Luke ready to Spoon. Bit of dirty air from the driver in front. We'll look to try and get a solid exit. Not much of a toe there to be had on the straight, but flat out now down to 130R. It is a 110.8 in the second sector. Not a purple one, still a decent one to look out for. Coming into the final chicane, harden the brakes into the right, straight into the left, early on the power, get it down. There used to be a bump on that corner in the older games. That's now been removed, and it's a 128.2 to slot them into third place.
Brilliant, Luke. By Luke there then. Phoenix at the minute on provisional pole, 127.0. That's where he'll want to start this evening. But his championship rival, Proven, 127.9. So still very close on the tail by nearly a second, though. Phoenix really flexing his wings, you could say, here in Suzuka. If you have just joined us again, the title is on the line this evening. Phoenix only needing 5 points to take the win this evening. So that means he'll need to get pole position and at least P9 in the Grand Prix to take victory here this evening. Proven, however, will need to take pole and the race win to even keep the championship alive, as far as I'm aware. Hopefully the studio will tell us a bit more. Bomber's left session by the looks of it. He'll join back, probably just some connection issues there. However, we're now looking at Edward Fleming, now setting a lap on the soft tyre, running around. That corner is now called Bianchi after the sad passing of Jules Bianchi a few years ago, named in honour of him. Around into the fast right-handers, and it's a purple sector 1 already for Edward Fleming. Into the hairpin, as we see one of the drivers going off wide, giving him the room, allowing him to not impede the lap. Impeding, you will get a penalty for, as we've seen quite a few times in the real-life Formula 1 broadcast. Now on to Spoon. Wants to try and drop a gear here. Is it drop a gear? Yep, drops a gear into 5th. Probably will drop now into 4th into this second section of Spoon. It's a very tricky corner to handle. It's very much like turn 9 at Bahrain in the sense you've got to make sure you get the apex correct. Going to be reaching nearly 200 mile an hour then on the run into 130R. Hits the apex beautifully. I think that was a purple sector 2 as well. Could Edward Fleming take pole position here? Into Casino Triangle, wants to make sure he slows the car down, but gets a really good exit. Round the final corner, looks a bit squirrely out of it. Opens DRS, what's it going to be? It's P2 at 27.7. The times are withering down. Could Edward Fleming throw a spanner into works for Proven tonight? We'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
That is a crazy qualifying time for Edward Fleming. In Australia was my chaos man of the day. Just absolutely going for moves that they shouldn't have been going for, sending it down the inside after the quick turn 9 and 10. Just trying to make everything happen. But this qualifying will be very positive for him. Second place is absolutely where he'd want to be. That is a much more impressive start. We have a car off the track though. Adam Thompson on an outlap, just cutting some trees.
It looks like he's cutting the grass, cut the trees around the final corner. Must have lost it just on the exit. Not going to be good for the start of his lap, but battery's charged. He's going to try and use it as much as he can to try and regain something from that lap. It's only his out lap. There's still 9 minutes later. We look at a replay then on the right-hand side of the screen. Let's see what happens. So he's slow onto the entry. He's probably trying to let a car through. Puts the speed in and, yeah, lights the rears up and takes the Nicholas Latifi line. If you remember that, forgets where the corner is and almost turns into the wrong part of the track. But it wasn't his fault. He lit up the rears. Wasn't much that he can do there. But we could see some damage limitation here. Can he get a good... Oh, he's invalidated on the exit. A little bit too wide. 4 wheels off the white lines. You see the white lines outside the track. Drivers have to stay within those white lines. If you go over it, even by a millimetre, the lap's invalidated. And he'll have to try and go again. He'll probably come into the pits, won't you think, and get a fresh set of boots.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very close to that white line. That was a very punishing penalty, in my opinion. I couldn't quite see 4 tyres off the edge of the track there. It was very close, but hey, them the rules. Can't push the white line any further than it already is, and that's going to be invalid. That's going to cause a bit more discomfort for him as the time ticks down. Only 8.5 minutes left of this qualifying. It's been, to be fair, a relatively quick 10 minutes here.
It has been relatively quick. I think it's because we are really looking forward to this Grand Prix and we just want it to get going as soon as possible. We look at Hog Devil Dog Affinity's prediction for the night, thinking that Hog Devil Dog do. And we do hope so, of course. Heading into 130R on a time lap. 111 around 130R. You can hear the battery just starting to derate a little bit. Obviously, it's 25 cars. You don't have as much derating as the 26 cars. But when you're running out of battery, you will feel it as you're going down the straight. Round the final corner, what can Hog Devil Dog do is P8, 129.0. So that is still a very, very good lap. But here he is, the champion-elect in Phoenix then. Around turn 1, keeps it nice and smooth. He has a little bit of a squirrely moment, though, on the exit, getting a little bit too much curve going into the S's. So really now needs to ace the S's going around here. Looks to be a slow car up in front. That slow car needs to get out of the way quickly because Phoenix will need to get a good lap in here to ensure that pole position is secured, and he's been impeded. Oh! The car did not get out of the way in time. The car's gone off, and Phoenix will probably be screaming into the helmet there. That may get investigated by the stewards after the session, I think.
What on earth? Get off the line. There were cars everywhere, right? There were 4 cars that all did well. 3 of them did very well to get off. One was, in fact, playing playing a Forza Horizon 6, going through the gravel, just deciding to jump through whatever part of the track just to get out of the way, and someone parks it in the middle of the course there, and that's painful. I mean, yeah, Phoenix is going to be fuming. Still has time to come back into the pits and set another lap. Will they really need to? I mean, just for that extra bit of security, you absolutely would like to get into the 126s. Yeah. That would be a flex in its own right. But here's the replay. Moves out the way, but too late. Far too late.
Far too late, especially with how that corner goes, because you want to be hitting that outside line as you're, as we see there, another car going off as well into the gravel. I can't quite see who that was, but yeah, with that corner, as Phoenix is now going for the double push, so it has enough fuel to try again. But it's the nature of that corner. The corner naturally wants to push you out wide, and it just moved way out of time. Phoenix was already committing to that line. So he's going to try again. He still has traffic ahead. And the problem with this track as well, especially in this sector, trying to move out the way for traffic is a really, really hard. So I do really feel for Phoenix there. But there was nothing he could do. So he's going to try again for this push lap into 6th and then into 7th. Might get a distant tow on the run to 130R if he stays behind this car, but doesn't want to sit too far behind. He's 0.02 of a second up in the first sector. So is going purple once again into the hairpin, then is going to drop into third, may drop into second on the exit. No, sticks it in third, is able to keep the speed, so that's really good. Uses overtake, just that little bit more extra speed. On the run to Spoon then, does not want to be held up by the car in front for too long, especially after that outlap then. Into Spoon, into sixth, and then we'll drop down to fourth. Hitting that apex, lovely, getting a good exit, goes really wide. That could be an invalidation. He hits the curb. Oh! Car bottoms out. The lap is ruined. He's probably going to have to pit this lap for new tyres. And I can't see how much time we've got left at the moment. But for Phoenix, 2 laps there, something he did not need. As we look at it again, yeah, just rides the curb on the exit. And as he hits the tarmac again, really does light up the rears. And I must admit, very well played to keep that on track. 4 minutes of 40 to go, and it's still all to play for.
Interesting. That was Chewy in front. I thought they were on a flyer. They were on a cooldown lap as you see them enter in the pits. Yeah, again, a questionable decision there, not getting out of the way. Maybe they were on a flyer and invalidated the lap time, but I can't really say too much on that. I think Phoenix will put a second quote in there, asking why this driver didn't move out of the way. But if you're on a flying lap, you're not obligated to get out of the way. You're there to set your own lap time. So yeah, the game is game at that point. But Edward Fleming on their own lap, on their second lap of today, is 2.5 tenths quicker. If they can keep this up through each of the seconds, could have a chance to catch Phoenix here. And that is a solid purple sector 1, very smooth through those S curves.
Yeah, purple sector 1 for Edward Fleming then. Could Edward Fleming really put a spanner in the works? Phoenix not having a good couple laps. He's only going to get one more run. If Edward Fleming puts in a really good lap here, this could really spice up the championship. Obviously, we would then have to talk about championship permutations again. Hopefully, guys in the studio are totting them up. Gets a distant tow from the car in front. That car in front will need to get out of the way if it's not on a flyer. Purple sector 2, 3 tenths up. What could Edward Fleming do? The car gets out of the way, gets a good little tow down 130R into Casino Triangle, and then it has a bit of a slide going into there. Might have lost a little bit of time. Hopefully, it's enough. Just take pole position. Round the final corner. Opens DRS. What's it going to be? It's not enough. A 127.1. He lost the time in the Casino Triangle with that slide, I think. But what a lap by Edward Fleming.
That tow might have been so beneficial as well, because it happened right down through 130R as well. That was going to gain plenty of time for Edward Fleming. Has enough time potentially to get round fast time towards the pit lane, slap a new set of tyres on and go again. It's going to be a tough ask with 2 minutes 40 left to go. But Adam Thompson, the last of the drivers to set a time here, will get through sector 1 with a 32.2. A bit of a wobble through the first right-hander, the second right-hander, a bit of dirty air as well. It's going to be frustrating in terms of setting a quicker lap time. Into the hairpin, drops it down into second gear, tucks it tightly. You do see different lines of that hairpin. You can take a wider line to get a better exit. I'm not sure if that's beneficial now. I used to do it all the time in 23 and 22, but we are then coming into Spoon, drop the gear, into 6th, down into 5th, potentially 4th here. Yep, just wide throughout the entirety though, losing time, doesn't find the track limits of the white lines there though, so full power now down to the Casino Triangle through 130R. Look to try and keep this as tight as possible, maximizing the track, not touching the curb, not maximizing it to its fullest potential. Here we are then, hard on the brakes, into the right, bit of a slide on the rear, manages to keep it tight though, doesn't spin out, and luckily will be able to set their lap time. DRS open, cross the line, it's a 128.8, puts them in that midfield pack.
In the midfield pack, Adam Thompson will not get another lap in by the looks of it. That will be his final lap of the session after slowing down after the crossing the line there. Unless he can get around quickly, that's probably his final lap of the session. But now every single car is out on the circuit, so track position is going to be crucial here. We've got Phoenix on that lap. Edward Fleming back on a push stop. We may be coming into the pit lane. Masuvo in P3 on debut. Very well done. The asset in P4, but we've got to think about proving here. Down in P7, he needs to get in the top 3 for those crucial points to keep this championship alive at the end of this Grand Prix. He's got to put in one stellar lap. You've got to see, though, the grid is the top 8 of this grid is separated by under a second. This is going to be one brilliant end to this qualifying. So don't turn off your TV sets. Don't log off your computers. You'll want to sit down and watch the remainder of this session. We look at Adam Thompson then still on that outlap. We go back on with Phoenix then. He's going to want better luck. This is only going to be his only run of this qualifying session to finish here in Suzuka. We got a car stops by the looks of it on the start-finish line. So hopefully that yellow flag goes away and we won't have any problems there. In the S's, he's got quite a lot of clear track ahead, so he shouldn't come into any problems. It'll just be down to the sheer pressure on himself. Hopefully he's not put himself too downhearted. Into the Degners. Degner 1, very, very quick. Degner 2 slows down into third or fourth. Now wants to push into the hairpin. Round the corner. Wants to go down there around third. He was taking it. Gets a very, very good exit. Maximising. The time's run out. Checker flags out. Edward Fleming, only P2, 127.1. The Asset, only a 127.8. He's in P4. Drivers starting to pit. Masubo's in the pit. Hog Devil Dogs come into the pit. Into Spoon for Phoenix then. Can he keep pole position? It's looking likely at the moment. He doesn't need to push too hard. On the run to 130R then. No DRS around here, remember. It's not like 26 with a straight line. This is pure pace from the engine and the battery. Around 130R, Stevie Mac goes P6 into Casino Triangle then. What can Phoenix do? Gets a really good line. Hits it. Able to keep the car under control. Round the final corner. What can Phoenix do? Can he extend his lead? Yes, he can. A 127.3. And having a look, Proven goes P3 as well. That point may be crucial into the final part of this stream, into the race. Ed Charles then, 7th gear, 8th gear, drops into 6th, goes really wide and goes wide at Spoon. That's the lap ruined for him, but maybe able to get some damage limitation. No, he's got a problem by the looks of it, because he's going very, very wide. Whether there's front wing damage, I think there might be a little bit of front wing damage on the end plate. Yes, there is. That is not going to help him whatsoever. You can see him there trying to keep the balance of the car. But that is qualifying over by the looks of it then. Felix taking lead then in pole position, a 1:27.0. Edward Fleming P2, Proven P3. Edward Fleming, again, could really throw a spanner into the works here this evening. But that's the grid. Masuvo 4th, Stepney Luke 5th, Crisper in KS Pryor, I should say, in 6th, the Asset 7th, Stevie Mac 8th, Adam Thompson 9th, Chewy 10th, Ed Charles in 11th, Bomber in 12th, Hog Devil Dog 13th, and FaZe in P14. Affinity, that qualifying was absolutely amazing, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, I am on the edge of my seat, and I can't help but feel for Phoenix that, I mean, coming out pole position is all great, but that moment where he's going for the lap, oh, just absolute heartbreak. But, I mean, I think that's kind of teed us up pretty nicely. It's exciting to see our new players coming on in, already taken to the track, taking top 10, taking top 5 even, is ludicrous. And it's just speaking to the sort of the caliber and how we've seen these players continue to push further and further as we've gone on through. Any surprises, would you say, in here? Anything that you're looking at going, that's a little bit weird?
There's a clear and obvious one, right, in the name of Edward G. Fleming. Absolutely flying on that track so far. Second place they finished, did they not?
Yes, P2 on the grid.
Yeah, P2 in qualifying. That's 2 points to their name and a very solid qualifying spot to have as well. And as you were reeling off Phoenix's lap time, I knew the driver up ahead, the driver in front of him, directly in front of him, was Proven. I was watching them like a hawk on that minimap. I was like, he's going to cross the line here, and it's a very fast time. Like Proven is not, Phoenix is not pulling ahead as much, or not catching Proven. So Proven was on a decent flyer, came across the line. It was a 27.1, sorry. And the one thing for me, I think Phoenix could have got that 26.9 if everything linked up to a T, but improving by a couple of hundredths there right at the end just to secure that pole position. Didn't really need it at the end, but it was just a flex right there then before the Grand Prix.
Exactly. It is what it is at the end of the day. And Phoenix, well, we're really starting to see those stars align, that throne start to shimmer for him. Starting off in pole position is just the cherry on top here. But you're right, there's been a couple of extra things, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to a little bit of a break. We're going to catch our breaths after what was quite a crazy and upbeat qualifying there. Let you two catch your breath, because we have got a race on our hands, and we will see if our champion is crowned very shortly. Hello and welcome back, you wonderful people. Qualifying was intense, and now we're actually getting onto the race itself. Right, let's set expectations here. Phoenix needs to finish only 9th place here to win the whole damn thing. I think it goes without saying. Do you reckon he can do it?
I think it'll be a tall order, wouldn't it?
Might be close.
But
Definitely a tough ask.
I think Phoenix had a bit of a tougher qualifying at one point. As we saw in the highlights just now, there was that incident where I think we saw about 6 drivers all go off in different directions, and Phoenix's lap kind of went. And then when he went for that push lap again, he got onto that curb and just bottomed out on that curb in the end. So provided that those mistakes don't happen, maybe if we don't see a safety car and a strategic call, I think he has got this in the bag. It's also the sense of he can finish 10th, but he's got to set the fastest lap to get that bonus point to secure it. If he finishes 10th without that fastest lap, we go into our next race, our final race of the season, and it is a championship decider, which I think a lot of us would like to end the season that way.
Would be cinematic.
It would be absolute. I think we said it already this year, but absolute banger. I think we should say after a few weeks back.
He's done it again.
There we go. I said this at the start. We're going to have this all night, especially now that I've been left to my own devices. But it's very much a case of it's going to be absolute cinema from now. Even in Monza, I think with battles for the top 3 in the championship, it really will be cinema, and we're going to really love it for the next 2 weeks.
Now, I am going to leave everything in you two's capable hands. We have got a championship up for contention. Romus, Poundland, take it away.
Right, here we go then. The grid is locked in. The tension here is palpable in Suzuka. We have 27 laps of racing here to really get a championship decided. This is it. Will Phoenix become the first BFBS Pro League featuring F125 champion of the world? Romus, qualifying was immense. This race, I think we are going to really have a good one here.
Yeah, absolutely. It all comes down to this turn 1. How the drivers navigate it. We could see that Senna Prost replay that we saw all that time ago back in the 80s. Now, will there be a collision with Fleming and Phoenix at the start? We don't know. I'm not manifesting. You are. But yeah, honestly, this race is going to be interesting. Like we said in the build-up to qualifying, very technical and very narrow in certain parts. You do not want to risk an overtake if it's going to take your front wing clean off the grid. Honestly, very, very competitive as well. As we saw in qualifying, all the drivers are tightly knit and proven, looking to try and cause, something. You're going to have to see Phoenix DNF from this race, essentially, for them not to be a championship winner. Now, what's funny is that they can DNF and then just qualify second in the Monza race and win the championship that way. You forgot to mention that qualifying gives you points. And if they qualify second at Monza, you see the championship being decided in qualifying. Now, no one wants to see that. We all want to see a championship decider held at Monza. But we are here at Suzuka, Japan. How many laps is that? About 27 laps, I think there is.
27.
In this half race distance. So plenty of laps to make something happen. We will definitely see a couple of I think a 2-stop and a 1-stop will be the main strategies, unless of course damage or safety cars could shake up the whole thing. But we just wait for the drivers to get on the grid here.
That's it. We are just waiting for drivers to ready up. So don't go away, because we are really looking forward to this one. You do not want to move away from your TV, from your phone, from your tablet, from your computer. It is really going to be a good one. Drivers then are on the grid. The tyre blankets are off the cars. The mechanics have cleared the tarmac. And we are getting ready to pull away for the formation lap. There will be a little bit of a delay here while we're on the grid, because what I forgot to mention is that the grid has been reset and the lobby has been reset to allow for make sure there is no issues with the lobby that we did see last week, unfortunately, but hopefully it should be plain sailing from here on out. Drivers then will set their setups onto the car. We will have fresh tyres on the grid, so it is an advantage there for Phoenix. Fresh tyres going into this Grand Prix, but tyre warm-up here is very, very crucial, isn't it, Romus?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got cold tyres heading into the S's right off the rip, you're going to be a sitting duck for the warmer tyre drivers behind you, and you do not want to make contact with anyone on this formation lap. Otherwise, you'll be sat on the grid. You were reset, you were disqualified, and your tyres do not get warm. They are sat at the baseline temperature, which I think is about 70 degrees. You want them to be in that crisp 90 to 100 region for them to be functioning. But, well, there's so many opportunities that Phoenix can win this one, but we just have to wait and see. The formation lap will be underway shortly, and we can get this race started. But there's a lot of anticipation around this one. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of hype, and I can feel it here in the commentary box as well.
Absolutely. I am shaking with adrenaline right now. Adrenaline? Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, that's going to be a new one for us, isn't it? So, just so you're aware, if you haven't watched any of this season, for one, where have you been? But for two, let's talk about Phoenix. He has secured maximum points this season in all races bar one that he's competed in. So week 2, week 4, 5 and 6 was maximum points, which is qualify on pole, the fastest lap and finish first. It was only in week 3 where we saw a pole position, a fastest lap, but only finished second due to a 10-second stop and go penalty. And we can hear the beeps. That means the green light has been illuminated as we go to start the formation lap. There's that little chime that all the F1 drivers will be noted about. Drivers then, green light on the gantry. We are underway for the formation lap. You can see Phoenix pulling away immediately, sweeping side to side, warming up those tyres. Don't want to do it too much. Medium tyres then for Phoenix. I think that's soft tyres there for Edward Fleming, actually. So really going for an aggressive start as there we go. The tyres are on screen. Mediums for Phoenix, proven. Stepney Luke, KS Pryor, The Asset, Stevie Mack, Chewy, Ed Charles, Bomber, Hog Devil Dog and FaZe. Soft tyres, so a very, very bold strategy for Edward Fleming and Adam Thompson, while Macedo is trying to go long on the hard tyres. Maybe that is what we need. Maybe a shake-up there with a strategy.
Yeah, I like the fact that Matsuva has gone for those hard tyres. It means they can push long and try and keep up with these medium tyre runners. And obviously, when it comes to the pit stop, you will have the faster tyre at the end of the race if you're going for a one-stop strategy here. Edward Fleming and Adam Thompson, I think they go for a two-stop. It'll be a soft, medium, so just full aggression from start to finish. But Fleming is probably looking to get a better start than Phoenix here, going on the soft tyre. It might be a tactical decision right off the get-go. We'll just have to wait and see. But Phoenix is absolutely flying around here on this formation lap. Usually you want to see them all bunched up. Give yourself the least amount of time parked up on the grid here.
Yeah, absolutely. Phoenix now will really want to slow the cars down in Casino Triangle. You do not want to be waiting at pole position for far too long. We can see there's still drivers down at the Spoon curve. They haven't even reached the back straight yet. They're only on that back straight now. So Phoenix is going to be sat on the grid for a very long time. Hog Devil Dog and KS Pryor already on the grid. They had an incident during the formation lap, which meant they now start with cold tyres. So that's going to be a disadvantage for him. But now Phoenix locks in to his spot then as the drivers come around the final couple of corners. Here we go then. It is time for your penultimate round of the BFBS Esports Pro League featuring F125. Don't change the channel, ladies and gents. This is going to be a good one. The grid is locked. The tension in Japan is high. 27 laps around the corner for you. The driver's now locked into position. We see the 5 red lights as Phoenix is hunting for those crucial points. It's eyes to the lights. And it's the lights out, and away we go in Suzuka. Phoenix will have really good stock, but we see that Ed Fleming really starts to come alongside to Phoenix there. We look on board with Masivo. He's dropping back, and it's Edward Fleming into turn number 2, taking the lead of the Grand Prix here. As we see Masivo having a spin and a slide. We're still on board. I'd like some more shots. There we go. But Edward Fleming now up into the lead of this Grand Prix, thanks to those soft tyres. Phoenix and Proven now only gapping by only 0.4 of a second. The championship runners really wanting to have a good battle here as Fleming now starts to pull a really good gap. As we see from the start then, we've got a replay of what is Masiva there getting onto the grass, is now at the back of the field. We said that something like this could happen. Into the hairpin then, Edward Fleming from Phoenix, Proven, Stepney Luke, Chaos Pryor. We see a little bit of action down at the back there. Masiva able to get up a place at the hairpin, able to carry on. Phoenix though really starting to drop a gap here from Edward Fleming. Edward Fleming with the advantage of the soft tyre, the grippiest tyre that you have here in Suzuka, and it's going to be faster, but they don't last very long. So Proven really hoping that the medium tyre does last a long time. On the run to 130R then, the grid very much staying stable. Not a lot going on in the back as well. As we see Phoenix then really starting to charge in Edward Fleming. That gap now under a second. DRS will be available at the end of this lap. However, round the final corner and at the end of the first lap, Edward Fleming leads.
Yeah, and I just want to mention there, Matt Zuvo having that little wobble, didn't get the tyres truly up to temperature, I feel. Tried to put the power down and had no grip on the exit of that corner as Fleming fighting here around the corners of turns 1 and 2, but does manage to maintain the lead. But this is going to be frustrating for Fleming. He wants to pull a gap, not be stuck in a battle with Phoenix, because those soft tyres only last about 6 laps around here, and we do have Bomber off track with a yellow flag behind.
Bomber with a spin then, down at turn 2 on the exit. Maybe there was contact, we're not 100% sure, or maybe just lit up the rear tyres, but Bomber now with it all to do at the back of the field. However, Phoenix now, with those medium tyres, Edward Fleming probably starting to feel a little bit of that grip far away. See, and there's a slide there from the back end of Edward Fleming. Phoenix now is looking for a charge onto the spoon, trying to get into that slipstream, but Edward Fleming's able to eke that position out just that little bit more, able to carry on with the lead. But that gap is ever slowing. But the cars don't want to sit in the dirty air too much. Proven is waiting there for a mistake to happen and be able to try and get past Phoenix at the earliest opportunity to even have a chance of having his championship hopes still alive, as Phoenix now really starting to close on Edward Fleming. They're going around 130R and it's very tight. They're side by side going to see as well. Edward Fleming trying to push Phoenix off the road. They both go wide. It's free abreast into the Casino Triangle. Phoenix comes out on top, however. Proven has to slip back a little bit. They're side by side going down the main straight. And you see Edward Fleming trying to keep trying to weave out the way, but Phoenix takes the lead. Proven into P2, Stepney, Luke into P3, but Edward Fleming, they're both still battling at the back there. What an incredible final set of corners. Phoenix on those medium tyres, able to just take from that mistake, but Edward Fleming there may get noted by the stewards because he was pushing Phoenix a lot off the track there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was indeed, but I mean, that overtake in itself was very smart play by Phoenix. It was the last of the late breakers heading into that chicane, timed it to perfection, got that overtake done, but now it's a battle for first and second. Proven is stuck on the tail of this battle because, well, Edward Fleming was left a bit awkward, looking to try and hunt down Proven, now being the chaos factor again in this Grand Prix, trying to shake up the order a little bit here. But the key thing to note here is through the S's and through Sector 1 as we head to Spoon, that gap hasn't changed between Phoenix and Proven, and down to this run to 130R, we see a replay here, a driver going well off track. Stepney Luke, they were sat in fourth, they were doing really well to keep with this group as well, making that one mistake, and just like that, you're down to 7th. But Proven now will have a nice little tow down to 130R, can save the battery a little bit coming into the chicane, and obviously DRS is now available, so a potential chance at turn 1.
Yeah, Proven then, he has eked out 4/10, so that means Proven still has a DRS advantage going down the main straight. Remember, this is an overtaking point down into turn 1, but we have seen championships decided here at Suzuka into turn 1. Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna being a notable one, crashing into turn 1, handing Senna the championship, which he lost a year prior to Prost here in Suzuka at the Casino Triangle. Could we see a repeat of that? We'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, This is one race you do not want to miss here tonight in the BFBS Esports Pro League. As we head on to lap number 4 then, Phoenix starting to eke that gap out a little bit more, 0.8 of a second away from Proven, both on the medium tyre. So that it's all going to be down to strategy and the hope that safety cars don't become apparent. Bomber still trying to catch up to Packy. He is starting to catch up as we look now at Chewy as well, trying to catch up to Stepney Luke here on board as they're going around the long right-hander on the run to Spoon. But Stepney Luke able just to eke up a bit more of a gap. Adam Thompson just laying back, waiting for a mistake to happen. So is Chewy as well from Stepney Luke after what was a terrible first start to the race. It looked good, but then just that coming wide out of Degna 2 is what cost him all of those positions. He'll be looking to fight back, especially in the strategy. Round 130R they go then. Chewy trying to catch up as we see Stepney Luke, Stevie Mac and the Asset all trying to fight position. You see there Adam Thompson having a bit of a slide coming out of the Casino Triangle and loses quite a lot of time out of the 1 second, but still has DRS as the detection point is just after 130R. So you only have to be 1 second into the detection point to be able to have that DRS advantage. It may have helped a lot, but because Stepney Luke would have had DRS from the car in front, it does cancel it out. Bativo also trying to gain some position back down in P11 as he just overtakes Ed Charles for that position. 2 seconds the gap then to Hog Devil Dog. But we can see now all of these drivers really trying to go around as 3 seconds goes to Ed Charles. We look there, yeah, just on the offboard, just hits that curve a little bit too much, doesn't he? And just loses the rear end.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a crazy battle for 5th place, it has to be said. 5 cars all in contention for this spot after 5 laps. You would usually expect the dirty air to kick in and these drivers start to separate naturally, but that's a move around the outside then by KS Pryor, in fact, as Edward Fleming is dropping off with those soft tyres, but it's shoved a bit too far wide. It looks like KS Pryor will try again now, down to 130R, has the speed for it, the slipstream as well. Look to try and get a pass on the chicane, but again, just falling a bit too far back, saving that battery. Let's get the wide line though, and that is almost contact. Doesn't quite happen, but Fleming just putting the car in the right spot. A bit too deep though, and those tyres are definitely falling off here.
They are absolutely screwed. And then you can see there, Edward Fleming trying to squeeze. And they keep contact as they come down the main straight, trying to keep KS Pryor away. KS Pryor gets into the podium positions then as the tyres start to go away for Edward Fleming. The soft tyre is quite a rogue strategy to start with. He will have to pit most likely within the next couple of laps. But KS Pryor now into the podium positions. But Proven and Phoenix, 0.8 of a second is the gap. However, Phoenix at the moment is in position. We have got a retirement. Ed Charles, I think, has retired in the pit lane. That's why we got a yellow flag out. So he will take no longer part in this Grand Prix. As we look at again our replay then of Fleming and KS Pryor into Spoon, you can see there, I think, yeah, KS Pryor pushing, Fleming pushing KS Pryor off the track into Spoon. Potentially there due to the tyres, would you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The tyre wear is getting ridiculous now. I'd say they're already on about 50-60%. These soft tyres get churned up so quickly around here. It's all medium speed corners, and these Pirelli tyres hate medium speed corners. So the more that there are, the more it's going to churn through that tyre wear. But right now, this train has not been extended to 4th place because Fleming is falling back. Stepney Luke is catching up, but while they're catching up, is dragging all the others with them. We could see some crazy moves here in the next coming minutes as the Asset is in 6th place, looking to sense any sort of opportunity as Stepney Luke will get the better exit out of the final corner for a potential overtake down to turn 1. We'll have DRS enabled, but it just seems a bit too far back for the move. You want to be within, it's going to sound crazy, about 2/10 for this straight to actually become effective, as our first pit stop is had, and it is Fleming. You could see it coming after about 6 laps. Those tyres were falling right off a cliff.
Yeah, absolutely. Edward Fleming then comes into the pit lane, will come out in 12th place. And yeah, those soft tyres really were not able, as FaZe gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We have a look then at a replay here. Edward Fleming and KS Pryor battling for 3rd position. KS Pryor able to take 3rd, but a lot of wheel banging there. Maybe the stewards might have a look at Edward Fleming here for pushing the driver off the track and unsportsmanlike behaviour. We'll have to wait and see going into next week if anything does come about it. However, we head back into the battle then for what is 5th position. Chewy, Stevie Mac and the Asset all battling here for the top 5. A gap that is just over, I would say, 2 seconds being able to take for 5th, as they all have the DRS advantage. So we'll be able to use that, as the Asset will be the only one in these positions without DRS going into 130R, and he has just got a 3-second time penalty for abusing the track limits. You only get 3 warnings and then you're out. But now we have a look. Stevie Mac, he's going to have a go on the Asset here. Uses DRS and a little bit of that overtake mode to his advantage and is able to just get away with it. There is a bit of lag. We do apologise for the little bit of lag spike in there, but Stevie Mac able to get into P5, but has depleted his battery, you may add. So will need to start recharging, especially through the S's here.
Yeah, there was almost nothing left in that tank, was there? Down to the last 2-3%, and you get no power out of the battery after like the final 10%. You have to charge that thing. So to get that overtake done was by pure speed and every drop of overtake they had left in that DRS zone. But up into 5th now. Be happy with that. We'll be looking to push for Stepney Luke, but Stepney Luke does have pace and is catching KS Pryor.
Yeah, note on KS Pryor then, as Stepney Luke really has made the charge back into the top 5, into P4. Now under a second, will keep the advantage DRS if he can carry on going. Little note on KS Pryor then, as we mentioned a few weeks ago, he is the Royal Navy F1 Esports Driver of the Year, and his top finish has been 6th so far in week 1 and in week 4. So KS Pryor really hoping for that podium this week to really top it for his season, and probably be very proud of that as well. But the battle for P5 still ongoing here, as we have a look now. Edward Fleming defays, as I think there was a lock up there by Edward Fleming going into Spoon. It looked like there was nearly a bit of contact going into Spoon there. Edward Fleming will use the toe in the battery now to try and get past 130. We've seen a move here before, Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso making a move around the outside. It's not going to be that this evening for Edward Fleming on those fresh meters. As we see now, the Asset going back into 5th with a beautiful move into P1 as Edward Fleming gets 3 seconds for multiple warnings as for track limits. So that won't help him as they start to really swap position. Bomber has dropped down the order as well, and he's making positions back on Alan Thompson. Alan Thompson, I think, is in pit lane. Yes, he is. He is in the pits by the looks of it. We'll see what he's going on at the moment. As we have a look now at a replay with Edward Fleming and what would have been, I think it would have been defaced. Yep, just very, very tight battle in there. Keeps very, very tight, and there's quite a bit of contact there. That's where the 3-second time penalty came into play there. Chewy, though, is still trying to get back around, as it looks like Stevie Mac had a bit of a problem there, not able to get the power down as quick as he wanted. And Chewy then had to react, and he opted to not hit the car in front and slow down. So I don't think he had many options there, did he?
No, absolutely not. And I just want to pan your attention to the front of the pack. Phoenix and Proven, they have been going hammer and tong throughout the entirety of this race, and Phoenix hasn't been able to shake off Proven. And it all comes down to, I'd argue, a pit stop, I think, for the leadless race. But again, it doesn't really matter for Phoenix. It's bring the car home in the top 9, and you've won. For Proven, I guess at this point, it's a Felipe Massa situation in Brazil in 2008.
As Stepney Luke now overtakes KS Pryor to get back into the podium places. Stepney Luke with a really good recovery drive after going wide at the second Egner in the early stages of this Grand Prix. Now back up to P3. The pit window is about to open, ladies and gents, so don't go away, because it can all change when we head into the pit stops. As we see now, KS Pryor really hunting to try and get that position back. But those medium tyres now, they're going to start to really start to scream a little bit, aren't they, into this phase race? Remember, because it's 50% as well, tyre wear is increased on this game, so it does increase the number of laps. That's why we have these pit stops strategically put in, just for that purpose. But at this point in the 50% though, Jerome, medium tyres are starting to wear away a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, you expect the pit window to be the next lap to about lap 16. You can really push these tyres out if you really want to, but you want to get in as early as possible to try and undercut the driver up ahead, because tyre wear is major around here. As you saw, like Fleming was a prime example for me to talk about that. After a couple of laps, they do just fall off a cliff and you lose seconds of time a lap. So Fleming now on the fresh set of tyres goes for a move on Matt Zuvo, who's on those older set of hards, and Edward Fleming has put on the set of mediums after the soft. So I think my strategy is correct here for the soft, medium, and he's going to be absolutely flying throughout the rest of this race. But a decent gap now to 7th place, but still yet to, well, the drivers up in front are still yet to pit. He's going to overcut everyone from up to 3rd place here.
That's what it's looking like. The Asset and Chewy have come in to the pit lane then, and we can see that it's hard compound tyres for the Asset. And for Chewy, we're just waiting to see what that's going to be as he pulls into his pit box now. We've got a replay then of that overtake with Edward Fleming and able just to breeze into Spoon Corner. And Edward Fleming up to P6 then. Remember, he has got a 3-second time penalty. He can't get rid of that in the pit lane, unlike the 10-second or the 5-second penalties that you can get. Adam Thompson able to set the fastest lap on those soft tyres. He's gone soft, which is a very rogue strategy there. He'll have to pit again by the looks of it, possibly for another set of softs near the end of the Grand Prix. Bomber gets a 3-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits once again. As you said, we're starting to see pit stops happen. Edward Fleming, 4-lap old medium. This could be interesting. Could he cause it again? We saw him cause a madness in qualifying. Could he do it again in the race? It is very much on the table here. Could he really start to shake this up a little bit?
It's going to be a big ask. Looking at the Delta, he's chipping away at about a second a lap here to Stevie Mack. Absolutely flying on track, and deservedly so, being 2nd place in qualifying. You know their qualifying pace is good, and when they have a free track like this, they're going to use every inch of space. So this will be good for Fleming to try and catch up to that pack and try and get a couple of overtakes as Case Pryor does enter the pits. But I'm looking at Phoenix improving as well. Edward Fleming can get into that spot where things become a bit questionable.
We've just seen it pop up. Just seen it popped up. KS Pryor, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Sorry about that, drivers. Carry on.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's gonna be painful for Pryor. Sat in 3rd place as it was on the grid there. That's gonna be a mega sting in their tail. Especially now that they won't have to pit again. They will have to pull a 10-second gap for the driver behind just to get in front, just to keep that position. That's a tough ask already. Looking at the deltas around here, there's a lot of close action going on, so they're going to be fuming with that one. But at the moment, these pit windows are shaking things up a little bit as the Asset looks for a move around the outside. A bit of contact made, but they're going to make it stick here as they head towards the deck. There, you cannot have 2 cars into one, but the Asset making it stick. Hog Devil Dog on those 11-lap-old mediums, falling short of 1-lap-old hard tyres, but that is wide for the Asset. Doesn't really matter too much. Will gain the position.
Will gain the position indeed. Up to P6 then for the Asset. He's going to start to close in on Edward Fleming, but Edward Fleming on the faster tyre. We've got a yellow flag down into Degner 2. Cars able to carry on. I believe that is Adam Thompson maybe going wide out of Degner 2. We're looking here then at Chewy and KS Pryor going for a move on Hog Devil Dog. I was right initially. Trying to find it. He's going to have the slipstream up into the back straight. Isn't going to use it. He's going to use it on pure pace alone, using the battery, because Hog Devil Dog was regenning the battery, but looks at it into 130R around the outside and beautifully moves around there. Phoenix, Proven, Stepney Luke and Stevie Mack all in the pit lane now. This is where it's going to get interesting. Where's Edward Fleming? What's he going to be able to do? Edward Fleming up into P2. Can he get into the first? No, Phoenix just able to eke it out and stay in the lead. Proven dropping a position to P3. Edward Fleming, though, as we said, will need to make another pit stop. As we missed there, Chewy able to get into P6. KS Pryor dropping to P7 there, or even up to P7. I think he was just behind Stevie Mack. So KS Pryor now really wanting to chase on the back of Chewy. Try and make those tyres nice and alive, nice and warm, able to go through. But Phoenix now in the lead with what is a 3-second gap going into nearly, well, about 3-4 seconds behind Proven in the pit stops. Edward Fleming, Phoenix must be thanking Edward Fleming for pitting early, I think.
Yeah, Proven's going to be absolutely devastated to see the car of Edward Fleming up ahead. Thought they could just come into the pits and still continue behind Phoenix, but that car with those old mediums is going to hold even more here will prevent them potentially from getting that race win unless Proven finds some incredible pace on those hard tyres. But for Fleming, this strategy is working out, but we'll have to pit again, no doubt. You cannot take these 21 laps around this circuit. It's impossible. They will explode by lap 16, maybe 17. We have seen punctures in the past in this league, so it's not out of the question. You cannot force these tyres more than what they want to be doing. But right now, pack is all a little spread out, apart from this battle between Stepney Luke and the Asset. Stepney Luke has no penalties to their name, though. The Asset will look to try and overtake a bit too far back on the main straight. Will not be able to get round this time. Have to wait another lap, and very low on the battery there.
Yeah, very low, has been deployed. We are halfway through this Grand Prix then here at Suzuka. If you haven't been watching, where have you been? This is the BFBS Pro League featuring F125, the penultimate round of our season, and you have missed an absolute blinder. Edward Fleming with an absolute brilliant strategy at the moment. In P2 will need to pit again, however, because those medium tyres will not go to the end. We have had drivers off into the gravel. We've had drivers spinning. We have had epic overtakes, especially around 130R and into the Casino Triangle. You have missed an absolute blinder so far, but there's still more to come if you're just joining us here. And it's Edward Fleming weaving on the straight. Sorry, that was FaZe weaving on the straight then, or was it? It was Adam. Adam was weaving on the straight there. Do apologise. But again, we got to remember, you can weave to try and get out the slipstream, but I think that was excessive weaving there. Don't you agree there, Jeromus?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was FaZe. They've maintained the position, but Adam Thompson's going to be furious with that. We're going to try and make an overtake down the inside. Got cut off immediately. Here's a replay of it on your screens. Unfortunately, I'm losing my footage. I think my internet dipped out a little bit there. But yeah, it was a bit of contact actually heading into turn one as well. And yeah, that's going to cause even more frustration for Adam Thompson for this battle for 12th place. It's not points, but at this point, it's for pride. 20 seconds off 11th place. They're just having, well, a really aggressive battle here for what could be absolutely nothing.
Could be absolutely nothing indeed. No points below 10th place, remember. As we go on board then with KS Pryor, who's having a real good battle with Chewy here. Didn't quite get him into turn one. You see the rain light. The rain light. It's not just used for the rain, believe it or not. It is for telling drivers behind they are regenning the battery, getting some more electrical power into the battery as it stands. And will be just that little bit slower because they're not deploying all of their batteries. KS Pryor starts to back off a little bit, get some clean air. Don't want to sit behind the car too much. Getting that dirty air will really warm up the tyres, warm up the brakes, and it'll just make it very, very more difficult to brake into the corners. But we have a look then at the Asset, trying to catch up to Stepney Luke for P4. You see there, the gap there, half a second. As we look again, oh, there's contact! There's contact there, and it's Adam Thompson with the wall. That's a hard one. That's a retirement. And the thing, it's a safety car. We have got a safety car here in Suzuka. The safety car's been deployed. Strategies out of the window. The track is neutralised. So drivers now will stick to a delta going around the circuit until they catch up to the safety car. And the track will come together. We have a look on the replay then. It was excessive weaving again by what I think was FaZe there. Adam Thompson being caught out and a huge crash into the exit. Phoenix pits then under the safety car. He's only been on the hard tyre for 2 laps. What strategy is he going to go here? I think it'd be mediums, wouldn't it, Jeromus?
Yeah, it would have to be mediums. There's two. Oh, actually, looking at the laps, you could risk a soft tyre. Proven's come in as well. Oh, I was hoping Proven would stay out. The smart option would be to stay out. It's mediums for Phoenix, but that's just a free pit stop as everyone comes into the pit lane. I feel like Proven could have kept them hard tyres on.
Mac!
What?
Stevie
We have a new
Mac
race
stays
leader!
out. He takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix. This is going to be crazy. And what I'm hearing here, FaZe has been disqualified from the session we're hearing. He's been black flagged for dangerous driving. That's breaking news coming in from the stewards. But he will have to come into the pit lane and retire from this Grand Prix. I think, to be honest with you, I think that was the right call by the stewards there.
Yeah, absolutely. The excessive weaving, not just once, but twice. And you think, oh, that's a little harsh, but no, it's caused a major collision on track. It's shaken up the whole dynamic of this Grand Prix. And we're essentially going to have a 9-lap shootout here for the remaining 12 drivers. But this brings back Hog, Devil Dog, Bomber, KS Pryor is now back in this one. Matt Zuva with a fresh set of mediums as well. Everyone is back in this one to chip away at some points, but we keep an eye on the top 4. Stevie Mac, Phoenix, Edward Fleming, who's put on a set of hards, doesn't have a spare set of mediums to use. So let's go for the hard compound tire. Proven will look to try and get past as soon as possible, as soon as this safety car comes in to try and threaten Phoenix here. But big news for us is that we've had a new race leader. It's not just for 1 lap, it's going to be for 2, and Stevie Mac will take that in his stride.
Absolutely. Everyone now, this will be a 9-lap shootout. If you need a bit of a comfort break, if you need to grab a drink, this is the time, but be quick. Those safety car lights can extinguish at any time. Adam Thompson in the chat, no words. He's got no words after that collision, and rightfully so. Adam, honestly, you're having such a good race, my friend, but it is racing, and unfortunately, things do happen. But hold your head up high, come back next week, and we try again. But safety car then here in Suzuka. The pack is being bunched up. We can see Hog Devil Dog is just coming into the final chicane. Once we have all of these cars back in line, we should go green flag racing. But essentially now, the drivers now, this is a reset. So drivers should be now thinking, well, what should they be thinking about at this moment in time?
Well, it's tyre management. You've got to weave to heat the tyres up. You don't want to weave too aggressively and burn out the rears. It's happened a few times in some leagues that I've done where I've been a bit too aggressive on the heating the tyres, and I've ended up cooking them before I've even got off the race start. That's just my inexperience, though it has to be said. These drivers will know how to manage these tyres under the safety car position. A few wobbles here and there just to get the temps up, and they should be good to go as we get another replay of the black flag incident. Then excessive weaving, Adam Thompson straight across the pit lane and into the wall. That is a very rare place you see a collision, but it's unfortunately, as you rightly said, it is how racing goes. Sometimes you never know what your driver's going to do, but I feel like the safety car will be coming in this lap. It'll be a 10-lap shootout. All the drivers are lined up and ready to go. We'll just have to wait and see how Stevie Mac gets this restart underway. He is in full control here of the start. Can take as long as he wants before that before the start-finish line to get underway. Any overtakes that happen before then will be, I think it's a 5-second time penalty in this game, or is it a 10-second time penalty?
I think it would be a 10-second time penalty. You cannot drop more than 10 car lengths behind the safety car at any point. You must regain those positions very quickly to avoid any sort of penalty at this point. So safety car is going to come around 130R and is in this lap. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got your drinks in hand. I hope you are ready for what is going to be an immense 9 laps of racing here in Suzuka. You can see the safety car about to peel in the pits. Drivers are now weaving as getting as much warmth in to the tyres. Stevie Mac is the de facto safety car coming around the final corner. He's going to put his foot down now. No, he's not. He's going to keep him right until the line. He's going to really go. He puts the foot down now. It's green flag racing once again here in Suzuka. Stevie Mac with a really good restart on the harder tyre. It's a slower tyre. So Phoenix with the upper hand with the medium tyre here. We do swap cameras because there's a little bit of lag there. Do apologise. Proven able to go up into third. Edward Fleming dropping back into that position as they battle. They go wheel to wheel. There's a little bit of contact out of turn 2. Hopefully there's not too much damage to the cars. Remember, it's full sim car damage here. You can have damage to your floor as well. So hopefully there's not too much there. Stevie Mac able to maintain a bit of a gap here to Phoenix. At the minute, if the race was to be red flagged now and the race was over, Phoenix would be your champion, but anything can happen here in Suzuka. We've seen it already. We go racing again. Phoenix really starting to close the gap on Stevie Mac though. As you have a look at a replay of Stevie Mac into turn 1, and I think he just loses a bit of time. And yeah, there's the contact then between Proven and Edward Fleming. We're just trying to see if there's any damage as we see now cars starting to drop back a bit. Phoenix is starting to drop away from Stevie Mac. The hard tyre still has quite a lot of life in. He's able to go to the end of the race here. But Phoenix with that medium tyre has a little bit more grip. And hopefully towards the end of this race, we might see him take the race win here in Suzuka. Up on to the back straight on the run to 130R. Full throttle here. Phoenix starting to close that gap in the slipstream. Batteries will be fully recharged as well. and DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap. So we won't see DRS coming down onto the straight this time around, but next time around, be sure the rear wing will pop open. But I don't think Phoenix is going to need it. DRS enabled. Phoenix in the slipstream, going to use the battery, pulls out to the side, and takes the lead of the Grand Prix here in Suzuka. Stevie Mack will now want to stay as close as possible. Bomber with another 3-second time penalty, up to 6 seconds there, added to his race time. Will want to try and pull out a 6-second gap to Hawk Devil Dog in these closing stages of this Grand Prix. Brilliant restart there for Phoenix then. Stevie Mack, credit to him, 1 lap, able to stay in front.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to fight that too hard, is he? He knows the wear of his tyres, didn't come into the pits, ended up leading the race after the safety car, but this is going to compromise them now as they will slowly drop down the pecking order as there's a few changes. The car goes well off track, and it's Bomber misjudging the right-hand corner there, just going well wide, no real damage, just straight into the gravel, but it's all very tight-knit after the safety car restart. No gaps are being formed. Edward Fleming is still within DRS of Stevie Mack. Stevie Mack still within DRS of Phoenix. They're all huddled together, and this is the instant then through the Degner corner.
Yeah.
It's just a mistimed braking zone. Just goes well wide, and thankfully compromises no one there.
Yeah, thankfully doesn't compromise anyone. Just very much a sense, brakes deep, tries to gain a bit of advantage, but just a little bit too late on the brakes there for Bomber. Hopefully he can gain that 4-second gap back. But 7 laps or 8 laps to go as we have a look then at Chewy having to go on the Hog Devil Dog, stays out the way. Chewy able to take 8th position here in Suzuka, and these closing stages of the race will be crucial. But we've got to remember, anything can happen. We could have another safety car. We could even have a virtual safety car. Who knows? A red flag may even come a cropper. We never know. So you have a look at a replay then on the right-hand side of your screen. As we see there, that is Chewy then, out of Casino, able to get a really good run. Looks like Hog Devil Dog didn't have the best exit out of the Casino triangle. Into the second Degner then, as cars start to spread out just that little bit more, as Stevie Mack and Phoenix, 8/10 seconds, slowly going, but Edward Fleming really wanting to try and get back into that. Oh, very late break in there for the Asset, trying to catch up to Stepney Luke to get back into the top 5 positions here at Suzuka. This race has already been an absolute cinema of a race, but it's still all to play for, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Asset getting punished with a 3-second time penalty, then that's 6 seconds to their name. Will drop them down into 9th currently. It's going to be another sting there, but it is just how it goes. You cannot abuse these track limits in any way, shape or form. It is as simple as 4 tyres across the white line. If they deem you're quicker, that is a warning. 3 of those, and it's the 3-second time penalty. But Chewy with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That's going to be an extra point their name, as Edward Fleming and Stevie Mack have to be fighting up ahead, but Fleming not getting the overtake done. The Asset falling off now of Stepney Luke, and there is a bigger gap starting to form behind them with Matsubo and Chewy. But they're all within that second of DRS. We are seeing a train here, and with the DRS and battery being burned, you've got, well, barely any overtaking opportunities. Everyone's driving at that same pace. It's only if you make one small mistake on this track, you will get punished for it, as we head to the hairpin now, as Edward Fleming will just remain calm, not worried about any driver behind, not worried about any driver in front. It's going to be the same now, unless a mistake happens, I feel, over the next couple of laps.
Yeah, absolutely. That gap in front then, it went to over a second for a minute, but maybe Phoenix has made a mistake. It's gone down to half a second. So the battle is still on for the win. Stevie Mack could really shake things up and take the victory here. I will give credit to FaZe, however. He has been in the chat. He has apologised for his driving and hopes he can be forgiven. Do you know what? Just for saying sorry and leaving it on the track, forgiven by me. It's all about learning, and that is what we respect here in the league. So fair play to you. Hopefully you do come back again, whether that be next week or into our second season, if we do get one for the 26 DLC. However, back to the racing then. Lap 22 of 27 then. As we see here, we see Stevie Mack going really wide. Edward Fleming going to capitalise on this. Into turn number 3, there was almost contact there. Edward Fleming able to take into P2 on those fresher hard tyres, may well be able to catch up to Phoenix here. Gap is now over a second. DRS has a lapse here, not able to get DRS if he hits the texture zone. Now goes under a second. We see a replay then into turn 1. Edward Fleming able just to keep that inside and just able to give enough room. As we see that, oh, that's Stevie Mack! And there's contact as well, I think, with Masuvo, trying to see if there's any damage to that front wing. I don't think there is, just a bit of carbon on there for a little bit of effect. As Masuvo almost spins it around the hairpin, trying to get back in front. Stevie Mack, just, again, I think he did the same as Bomber, a little bit of late braking and hit the gravel, didn't he?
Yeah, feeling the wear of the tyres as well. Remember, 3 laps older than everyone else around him. Getting punished for it, for not coming into the pit lane. Maybe it was the right call for Proven to not pit, as we see, for Proven to pit, as we see a replay, yeah, just running a bit too deep into Degner 2 and losing it again. Oh, it was actually Degner 1 and 2. So, yeah, just lost control around both corners. Once you lose around 1, you have to slow down, otherwise you get punished in the second. But Matsuvo will look to try and capitalize on the shakiness of Stevie back here. But a bit of a wobble through the Casino Triangle, and will lose all that time to Stevie Mack that they gained. And this DRS will mean absolutely nothing to them. And there's that replay of getting a bit too eager on the curve there was Matsuvo, and causing a bit of a half spin, not too much. But that gap now for Phoenix, 2 seconds in front, as Edward Fleming is falling further and further back. Proven a second behind them, and Stephanie Luke looking to actually challenge Proven here for that last podium position.
Absolutely, this is going to be it's going to be all the way to the final lap now. Phoenix now really living up to his name and flying away here as a 2-second gap now emerges. Plus that penalty that Edward Fleming has got, Proven just wants to sit there to be able to get that P2 position. It wouldn't be enough for the championship. However, it would be a brilliant drive by Proven there. So, lap 23 of 27, 4 more laps or 5 more laps of racing here in Suzuka. Do not go away, because this is where champions can be crowned, but we won't know until that checker flag flies at the end of the Grand Prix. The asset then really starting to catch up. Stepney Luke wanting to get into that 4th. We look at Masivo as we go on board, trying to catch up to Stevie Mack here on those fresher medium tyres. He did have a little bit of a slide, though, as we saw on the replay. Into Casino Triangle, breaks nice and deep, gets nice and close, and will have DRS advantage, I believe, going down the main straight, where Stevie Mack won't have that. So it will be an advantage. I think he might be a little bit too far back to go for an overtake. The gap is closing. You can see it on your screen. It just won't be enough into turn number 1 and turn number 2 to make any substantial moves, but does get a hell of a lot closer. We look at Stepney Luke then on the back of Proven, wants to try and get onto the podium here in Suzuka, getting closer around the S's, and then on the run to the Degners now, around Dunlop and Bianchi, and then heading into the Degners. As we go back on board Masuva, though, is he going to get able to get past Stevie Mack into Degners? Oh, has to back out of it. Too fast for a corner. Could cause a collision if he went for the move there. Very, very good idea to back out of the move.
Yeah, smart decision, but has an opportunity down the hairpin if they really fancy a bit of a lock-up on the brakes, a bit of a slide, but forces Stevie Mack wide under pressure. Unfortunately, because of that, Stevie Mack actually gets the better exit with the outside line and will hold the position, but that's on the grass for Stevie Mack, taking the extremities of the track to its absolute maximum as we head through Spoon Curve, drops down a gear, will have more grip coming out of this exit, but just not enough power. The battery's sat about 30%. I think Stevie Mack is burning a lot more, but it was just a better exit there, heading to 130R. It's going to be a bit too far back now for the DRS to make anything happen, unless it just gets way too eager on the brakes. Nope, it's calm, composed. And we head to the straight again, but there will not be an overtake in this attempt, at least. But we have 3 laps left to go then, and Phoenix has gained another second on Fleming.
Phoenix really is showing. Well, the first phase of the race, it looked like he couldn't quite pull away, could it? But this second phase after the safety car, with that fresh set of tyres coming in under safety car, it has really helped Phoenix, onto the medium. and is now starting to stretch his legs and try and take control of this race, as he's done for the majority of this season. It's now just down to him and staying in between those white lines and not making a mistake to be able to crown himself as champion. We're still on board with Masivo then, trying to catch up with Stevie Matt, but I think with going around the corners and sliding around and really starting to lose it, Masivo has kind of ruined his tyres here and is now just looking for damage limitation, waiting for Stevie Matt just to make that mistake. And because he is on those older, harder tyres, even though they can go further, they can still start to fall off near the end of this Grand Prix. But Masivo then really trying to catch up using all the battery. We have a look at Bomber then. We haven't really looked at Bomber this evening, but we do have a look. 4 seconds down on Hog Devil Dog. He has turned around in the chat and said he's been playing a little bit too much the Mon Ultimate over the past couple of weeks. So has lost his rhythm bit on those soft tyres, just starting to learn, but trying to keep that crucial point, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen him all over the track and all off the track as well, deciding to take their own routes through the Suzuka circuit, but in a world of his own for this final points paying position. And, well, the black and white flag of the 3-second time penalty, KS Pryor will be looking to hunt that down and steal it right at the end. But as of now, you're approaching what is to be the final lap.
Yeah, so we can see there Phoenix on the penultimate lap up at the hairpin, and will now come around into Spoon Curve and we'll head down 130R to do one more lap. As we see then Stevie Matt, Masuvo trying to go for a late lunge into the hairpin. It just didn't work out, locks the tyres going into there, and it really didn't work out, unfortunately, and it's actually lost a little bit more time to Stevie Matt there. He's really wanting this P7, isn't he, to try and take this. However, it's just not to be at the moment, but still got another lap and a quarter of racing to go. Phoenix coming into the final chicane. Looking at it, if you look at a replay then, yeah, just locks the fronts and the rears at the same time, slides and drifts around the hairpin. The final lap then of this thrilling Japanese Grand Prix has started, and it's safe to say, Jeromus, it has been a really, really good race, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been relatively clean from start to finish, apart from that one safety car incident. But Proven falling a bit short here, got stuck behind Edward Fleming, has been absolutely punished for it. As we wrap up the start of Sector 1, looking for any more overtaking opportunities. I don't think there will be here, so I think, Harlan, I'm going to let you take it away here.
Absolutely. Phoenix then on to the second half of the lap then. We're looking at Proven trying to stay within that 3-second gap of Edward Fleming to take P2. Stepney Luke wants to stay as close behind to Proven as possible to guarantee a podium place, which looks to be achievable, provided he stays behind Stepney Luke and stays close behind. But I think we need to talk about the person at the front. Phoenix rounds off Spoon and is now heading to 130R. Since he came into the championship at round 2, he has dominated here in the BFBS Pro League. He's had the top tier finish in every single round bar one. He'll come around the Casino Triangle. Everyone will rise to their feet because Phoenix crosses the line. He rises like a phoenix in this league and is now champion of the world.
Well, congratulations to Phoenix from ashes to the skies. An incredible performance throughout the entire season. As Proven does finish second there, but for Phoenix, they'll be absolutely landed. Didn't show up in race 1, didn't matter. Week 2, first with the fastest lap. Week 3, second place, only because of a 10-second stop go, as we see some last minute action, but I don't think we really care. Phoenix, take a bow. You have been you will be unforgettable for the first season of F1 in BFBS Season 2. Your name will be written in the history books, and it has been an incredible drive throughout, as we see a replay of that final bit of contact there between KS Pryor and Bomber. It wouldn't really matter too much. It's the last points paying position, and Bomber had a 3-second time penalty. But Phoenix then to lift the Suzuka trophy.
Absolutely on the podium, taking the Suzuka trophy and the World Championship trophy home with him. The champagne sprays once again for Phoenix, and this one will be ever more sweet as he is your 2026 BFBS Pro League champion of the world. Affinity, what a race.
What a race indeed. And it was only ever going to end like this, wasn't it? We were talking at the start, can he finish top 9th? Who are we kidding? Of course he does, and he does it in style as well. And I mean, there's still a race next week, and I think he's just going to be going for salt on the open wounds here. What a legend. But of course, not the only racer on the track today. Couple of other people really giving him a run for his money as well. I'd argue maybe, other than the week we saw him lose on penalties, this has been the week he has been tested the most. Talk me through. Let's talk about this 2nd to 5th place who were just lights out as well. Jeromus, who are your superstars?
I think, honestly, Edward Fleming came out of the box today and started to throw everything at it. It was like, oh, there's a championship on the line here. I want to see how much damage I can do to this. And to be honest, was a pretty interesting driver throughout. Got the elbows out, played it the Verstappen way, and ended up finishing 3rd for his troubles as well. With that 3-second time penalty, Proven will take 2nd place, but that podium is going to feel a bit antsy with Proven sat there, I feel.
Orlando,
yeah,
what do you have to say?
I've got to agree. Edward Fleming, honestly, after last week, as we saw, causing a bit of chaos, to come in this week and really spice it up, I think it has been something that we needed this race to really make it a bit more dramatic, because I'm still shaking after this race. It has been that brilliant. I think another one we've got to say as well, Stevie Mack staying out under the safety car, and again, really giving Phoenix a bit of a challenge out of the restart. But I think once Phoenix was able to pull away, he really did fly, didn't he? And yeah, I think Phoenix all season deserve a champion. Has just smashed it every single week he's been here, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. But what's going to happen now? We are going to head to a little bit of a break. We are going to get everything tallied up and ready to show you. We already know who's won, but we got to look at how the chips fall beneath. So come back very soon to wrap all of this up. Welcome back, welcome back. Now that the dust has settled, well, before we do anything else, I've got to ask you an important question, both of you. Chaos agent of the race, who are you saying? Poundlander, you're up first.
He's muted. He's muted.
Muted, mate.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay,
I'm
right.
back. I'm back.
Chaos agent.
Chaos agent. I think for me, because I know what Doromus is going to say, so I'm going to let him have that one. I'm going to go with. Oh God, I lost it. I'm going to go with Stevie Mack. No, Edward Fleming. Sorry, the race has been so chaotic. My brain has gone into overdrive. Yeah, Edward Fleming. It was amazing because last week, because obviously we've seen the highlights as we were running into this race. He caused absolute chaos in Australia, to then come into Suzuka, put it P2, and then cause chaos through the race. Really giving it kind of the Verstappen line, didn't he? I think we said before we came back, kind of that really hard racing, using all the track to his advantage, and just finding the limit, but not jumping over it to cause too much drama. But it was, Edward Fleming for a P4 finish with that. Fair play.
And to Romus, who are you saying? Who's your chaos agent of the race?
Well, there's only one, isn't there? And apologies. I know you've apologized in the chat, but you still get chaos factor here. And it has to be DeFaze, who ended up absolutely sideswiping Adam Thompson into the barrier and shaking up the entire Grand Prix. So I thank you for that, because you kept it interesting right until the very end. So there is a positive in this. There is a silver lining. You made racing last right up until the very end. There was no runaway driver, and we got that safety car, which means I lost my prediction of 2 safety cars. There was just the one.
I win.
Just the one. Poundlander, you win on this one. Unfortunately, we've not got a medal or anything for you, but, badge of honour. And hopefully you'll come back next week and defend that title. But talking of defending the title, let's have a look at the leaderboard now that we've tallied everything up. As you can see here, Phoenix at the top, plus 25 points, as if he didn't have enough already. Proven coming in second. Stepney Luke, Edward G. Fleming and Stevie Mack take your top 5 spots. And then Matt Zuvo has taken 6th place on his very first race. Anything in here that we're thinking maybe a little bit curious? Anything raising your eyebrows, or is this pretty much what we expected?
I think Masudo really did shock us, didn't he? Like, coming in first race, we saw. I don't know how new Masudo is to the game. He did say coming in, didn't he? He was more of an engineer more than anything.
He's got some experience behind him.
He's got a little. Yeah, I think there's some experience, but I think there's still some learning to pick up. Going into the corners, he was locking up a lot, really scrubbing up those tyres, losing that grip, and just wasn't quite able to get to Stevie Mack in the end, just because he scrubbed his tyres off far too much. However, Masudo, very, very well done. The only other thing, Bomber, I feel really bad for him. He's in the chat, and apparently he had issues with his steering wheel. The gearing went, and it was kind of the way that he's, been playing a little bit too much Le Mans Ultimate. It was very much a case of he was a little bit slower this week. Hopefully, final race of the season, Bomber really does find his pace again.
And what about you, Doromus? Anybody in here that's sticking out to you? Anything you think's a little bit unusual?
I think Matsuvo got unlucky, to be honest. After that race start, couldn't really get the rhythm back. I think they could have finished in a much higher position. I think they could have had more points today, but unfortunately, that's just how the race panned out. I think they are definitely one to watch in future seasons if they have the time to do so. I think, I'm going to just bounce off the coattails of Poundlander here and say that is definitely my choice for today.
You saying about trophy for safety cars as well. I've got one. We're all good. And because it's a safety car, it's broken.
That's amazing. I can't believe you had that ready and on hand. That's insane. But yeah, that is going to wrap us up for race number 7. But you know what that means? One more race stands in our way. Now, we already have our title. We have already crowned our champion. But the rest of the spots on the podium, well, they are still up for grabs. And second and third place. There's a little bit of a fight going on for it as well. Now, should we take a look at the track that we'll be seeing next week? And we are going to be going over to Italy. We are going to be on Monza to close this out. Poundlander, how do we feel about this being the final stretch?
Oh, my motherland, the Tifosi. It is the Temple of Speed, Monza. It is an iconic track that we're going to, and it's been around since the dawn of Formula One, with some changes since that original layout. However, it is full throttle here. I think it's for about 95% of the lap. So it's going to be full throttle from start to finish. And look at turn one. That is where you are going to see some brilliant moves or absolute chaos. We saw it in the GT Challenge a few weeks ago when it was just a pile up into turn one. And if we go back into Formula One, I think the last time we saw something major in turn one was 2021 with Hamilton and Verstappen heading into turn one out the pit lane and colliding and ended up on top of each other, which was incredible because it shook up the championship as it was then into an even higher state. So Monza, for a finale, it is the most perfect track to go to.
And Aromas, how does it fare for you? How does it rank for you in terms of tracks? How do you feel about this being the final chapter?
Yeah, it's one of my most favorite circuits of all time. You've always got plenty of overtaking opportunities. Of course, you max throttle through about 80% of this circuit. Parabolica allows you to slingshot through the main straight, heading into, as you said, that turn 1-2 chicane. But the start finish straight right off lap one is always dangerous territory. You've got cars going 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide before you head into that chicane, and it never works out. But people's egos get in the way, and you always see someone cut through the makeup chicane that they make with the barriers that just don't work. They never respect them. It's just straight through. Absolutely no hesitation. I ain't weaving around that. I went for the overtake. It didn't work. I'm going to make it work by making my own track.
I love it, and I can't wait to see it. I don't think there's a better final resting place for the BFBS Pro League featuring F125. But that brings us to the end. I've got one more statistic for you, something that, maybe a little bit interesting. Fun fact of the day. Today we saw 89% of people on their sim rigs and 11% on controllers. We're going to start doing that. Little fun facts to end the day. I'm not actually sure who it was. I'm assuming we're going to see the rigs taking the supremacy there. We talked a little bit earlier about how this track fares with the controller, but that's your fun fact of the day. You've had a fun race of the day too. Come back next week, next Monday, 7:30 p.m. for the final installment of the BFBS Pro League featuring F125, and have a wonderful evening.